Welcome back to another movie review on the channel. Today we are going to be reviewing Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Um, and as always, like I said, or like I always say, there will be a spoiler-free section and a spoiler section of the review. So those will be marked accordingly in the timestamps in the description below, as well as the spoiler tag that will pop up on screen when I am talking about spoilers. So that way, if you have not seen the movie yet, you don't have to worry, and you can still get a spoiler-free review before you actually go see it yourself. Overall, before I went into the film, a lot of the reviews that I was briefly reading over were very negative, and I was a bit hesitant going into the film, but I kind of kept an open mind. And overall, I'm pretty glad that I did keep an open mind, because although the film did have some flaws that I wish didn't exist, um, I feel like the reviews kind of made the film worse than it really was. So yeah, overall, um, I think the film was heavily carried. Um, Let me pull up the name by Kathryn Newton's performance as Cassie and Jonathan Majors as Kang. I think those two performances carried the film tremendously. Not really a spoiler in that sense, but I think the both of those characters were really well played. And obviously, this film was primarily used to introduce us to the concept of Kang as a villain and a character and everything else. And I think overall, for what the film was trying to do and introducing us into Kang as a character, I think the film succeeded in that pretty well. Also, the family dynamic between Cassie and Lang specifically um, was phenomenal. I think they meshed really well. Um, Overall, like my main couple of gripes is I think the script writing was a little bit rough, and I think that hurt the film and some of the characters at times, where the script wasn't as strong as I would have liked it to be, which kind of sucks. But there isn't much that can be done about that, and I think that hurt some of the characters. And I think that's also leads into my next gripe is I think because of the script writing, I think some characters had a bit too much screen time, where it kind of just hurt their characters, and I feel like it was kind of underwhelming, and I kind of just did not really like where it was headed in those situations. So I think that partially has to do with the script writing hurting those characters, but I think that's another big gripe that I had with the film is that some characters just were on screen a little bit longer than I would have liked. Another issue that I had is that some of the humor moments were a bit hit or miss. Some of them were really funny and really well timed, and other ones just kind of felt really forced and Marvelish, where they're not really appropriately timed. Where they could be good jokes and whatever, but they just are poorly timed, and so they just miss. And obviously, like my theater kind of laughed at every joke that was going on throughout the film, but I don't necessarily know if it was just a laugh in the moment or what it was. But I think that definitely hurt it as well. But I think part of the reason that overall I would say I had a fun time watching this film is that because you have to remember that this film is a building blocks in terms of just the opening to Phase 4. This is the first film in the entire new phase, and so they kind of had to do the best that they could in terms of introducing us to characters that we needed to be introduced to and stuff like that, and just ideas overall for this next chapter of Marvel films. I think that's a little bit reason why people may be a little bit more harsh on this film is because they kind of were expecting it to be overall a very solid foundation and start to the new phase. And I think there's a foundation built. It may not be the most stable, but I think in terms of the most important thing, which to me was being introduced to Kang and his character for the villain arc of this new phase, I think that concept alone was done really, really well. Um, but in terms of just overall, it was not the greatest opening film to the new phase. But overall, I think if you go with friends, you go with family, you go with a loved one on a date. I think overall, I think if you're a fan of Marvel and you go in with an open mind and you don't have too high of expectations, I think you overall have a fun time with this film, and I would recommend seeing it because overall it's an absolute blast, and I have no regrets going to see it. Um, it didn't really feel too long. It felt like the perfect length of a film, so overall I'm happy there as well. Um, I will give this film a 3.6 out of 5. Just because, again, some of my issues with the film were pretty substantial in terms of having an impact on the entire film, especially when it comes to the script writing. I'm not entirely sure what happened there. I feel like, for the most part, script writing has been very solid in recent Marvel movies. And to kind of take a step backwards with this film, kind of struggled a little bit in terms of like what happened, and I don't necessarily know what happened. So that's why it's getting a rating of 3.6 out of 5 stars. Um, and as always, this concludes the end of the spoiler free section. If you want to get a read my text review on my Letterboxd, it'll be down in the description below. I hope you enjoyed. If you end up seeing the movie, please let me know what you think down in the comments down below. That way, we can have a conversation about it. Try to keep the comments a little bit spoiler free, but I'm definitely down to talk about the film. Moving into the spoiler section of the review, let me go ahead and pop up the spoiler alert. I'm gonna keep the spoiler free section of the film review a little bit brief. Let me really quickly. I should have had this pulled up before. Ant-Man characters. Sorry about that. Overall, like I said, my major issues is that I just feel like there was once they got to the quantum realm, which obviously most of the film is spent in the quantum realm, which is totally fine. Um I don't know. It's just I'm trying to remember his name. Uh I cannot I cannot remember the name of him to save my life. Oh, I will mention that one of the characters that I wish either would have had more of a purpose or less screen time was I think it's pronounced Gentora, or played by Katie O'Brien. She Her character was overall very interesting, and I was intrigued by her character. But overall, it didn't feel like we get the resolution towards the end of the film when Cassie and her kind of have a moment where they like are appreciative for each other, and they have that makeup moment, and that's like the only resolution that we get in terms of her character, and the main reason I see why her character is in the film. But I just either wish there was a little bit more for her, like in terms of the impact on the story, or if she just had a little bit less screen time, because I think the amount of screen time she had struggled because she was kind of just in limbo in terms of the film. Um, Overall, Hank and Janet's characters, uh, they weren't bad, but I don't think they were very strong. Um, and yeah, I think I think I think his name is. It starts with the D. It's Douglas, the floating head dude. He he his character is so strange, and it just feels really really out of place. Um, I can't remember his name exactly. I'll try to look it up officially at the end, and I'll talk about it in my Letterboxd review in the description below. But his character is just kind of really random, and he's in the film quite a bit, and he has a substantial impact on the film overall. And we see kind of a character arc from him as he goes from a bad guy to a more of a good guy, as he has a change of heart and as Cassie kind of shines some light to him to just overall be a better person, and stuff like that. And so it's a bit interesting on how that kind of plays out. But his characters overall felt really strange. Um, and I think Scott Lang's character is totally fine. I think Scott Lang's character is totally fine. Paul Rudd, I think he did as good of a job as he could with the script that he was given. I think his character is overall a little bit hurt by the script writing, but I can't really hold that against him as an actor. I think given what he was given, he did a fantastic job in terms of his character. And yeah, I don't know. Overall, I had a good time. If you did see the film and you want to talk a little bit more spoilers, be sure to stop by any of my socials in the comments or in the description down below. I'll be more willing to talk about spoilers over there. We can talk more privately and not have those spoilers be in a comment section. But yeah, overall, go see the film. Let me know what you think, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.